श्रद्धांजलि। मैं तो क्षितिजों के पार भी उड़ता चला गया। मैं तो क्षितिजों के पार भी उड़ता चला गया, तुम देखते रहे।
This is a unique collection of poems. As the name suggests, Radha's Geet, this is the songs of devotion, deeply mystical and spiritual, in the true Vaishnava tradition in the English language. That's something unique about this collection. And may I call upon Dr. Veer Saxena to come and read one poem from here. English. एक आप निकाल लो वहाँ से, राधा's गीत वहाँ से. So translation of one of these poems. Which poem is that? We'll do the release as before the reading, so we'll just do the release. So please, let's, sirs, if you can release the book.
ये परीक्षित सिंह का राधा गीत है। हाथ में तुम्हारी बांसुरी लिए, किंतु मैंने अधरों से अपने उसे फिर से छुआ। जिन काठ के होंठों ने कभी तुम्हारा माधुर्य पिया, वाद्य हैं दोनों शब्दहीन रिक्त, जिनका संगीत अब केवल नीरव ही कर पाता तुम्हें। आनंद से इतनी भरी देह की बांसुरी मौन ही कर पाए धारण, उसकी वाणी केवल निमित्त, इसकी इच्छा शक्ति भी तुम्हें पूर्णतया समर्पित। एक तान स्मृति से परे एकत्व के सुर का वर्ण निर्विकल्प चुनते चुनते ऐसे ही गीत किए एकत्रित। कितना सुलभ है गाना, तुम जैसे ही इस खोखले अस्तित्व को बजाना, नीरव का आरोह उठाना। मुझे चंचल को भी स्थैर्य हो गया कितना सरल, जितने वर्ष हो गए शाम तुम्हारा मौन सुनते सुनते।
Thank you so much. Just thank you. Thank you so much. You've done justice. Thank you very much. And for the poetry reading session for today, may I call upon Arwa? Where's Arwa? Miss Arwa Kutubuddin, our poetess for today. Dr. Muhammad Hassan. Makrand, Dr. Makrand Paranchape, I can't see, okay. And Parikshit Singh, of course. We'll just wait for Makrant to join us.
Check.
Makrant. I'll request everyone here to keep their cell phones on silent mode and not to speak on their phones while we are having the poetry session. What we have planned is, instead of my introducing the poets to you, the poets will introduce themselves, not just as poets, but more importantly, their poetry. And then we'll have readings of some of the poems selected by themselves, the poets' selection of their own poems. And then I would very much appreciate if we can get involved in a brief dialogue on the poems that they will read, questions that you may have, especially those amongst you who are poets yourselves. You would probably like to know something about the poets, about the poetry they write, where the poetry comes from, what is the inner story behind the poems that they read out, and why they selected the poems they selected. These are some very important, interesting questions I would like to ask after the reading of the poems. So, Arvaji, please talk to us, tell us something about yourself as a poetess and your poems. You can take the mic there, or you can come here, your choice.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Namaste. Peace and joy to all of you. I feel honored to be here today and deeply grateful for this opportunity to share some of my work with you. Poetry has essentially been a journey of healing for me. I started writing a long time ago, and then motherhood took all of my time and energy for a long 17 years. And then circumstances brought me back to my poetry. And ever since, it has been a very enriching journey for me. I grew up in a very traditional religious, spiritual environment. And I really believe that my parents gave me the gift of sincerity. And that sincerity has really helped me in my seeking for something deeper within me. And that is where my poetry comes from. Again, I'm very grateful to be able to share these beautiful moments of being human together with all of you here today. And being human together happens to be the first poem which I will read out. Being human together. Boundaries between you and me begin to fade. We realize how deeply interconnected we are in this grand scheme of creation, where my sunlight nurtures your meadow and your raindrops water my field, where unknowingly my snowstorm might destroy your crop, and unbeknownst to you, your tsunami might drown my home. There is no way around being human. We walk together this path, but how we do is a choice we must make every step of the way. Do we hold hands and help each other as we stumble and fall? Or do we turn our backs and hurry along with those on a roll? Do I share my plate with you, even though I'm not the one who stole your food? Do you give me shelter under your wing when I am thrown out in the cold by no fault of your own? Matters of the heart and spirit wrestle with those of the physical world, a world built on the illusion of separation. You, me, we, them. In the end, all of us become the earth that knows not black from brown, nor joy from sorrow, nor weak from strong. And yet, we live in bubbles of isolation, as though your and my victories and hardships are exclusive to each one, when the truth is that every breath we take ripples itself into the other. The air that finds its way inside your lungs is the same air that keeps me alive. The soul that keeps your heart beating is the same one that heals me when my heart breaks. Thank you. Before I move on to the next one, I will share in between the longer poems a few really short ones, just 3 or 4 lines, to kind of lighten the read. So here's one I really like, and I would love to share it with you. I run into the wilderness, my heart open wide. I run into the wilderness, my heart open wide. Wild embraces wild. A numbness wraps itself around me. I curl up inside it like a caterpillar in a cocoon, not waiting, not wanting to break free until I am certain I have wings to fly. Sitting alone by the sea, I wonder, why this salty wetness on my cheeks? This next poem is called Having Tea with My Demons. And it's inspired by the story of the Buddha having tea with Mara, the demon god that tempts him with illusions. And instead of fighting and struggling with Mara, Buddha invites Mara and has tea with Mara. So, having tea with my demons. I am controlled in so many moments of my life by demons that haunt me. I do not know how to escape their torture and be free. They are my own, and they are asking to be loved and welcomed into my home. Come, demons, sit with me and have some tea. Tell me your stories, and even if you scream them to me, I will listen without asking you to be quiet. I will sip from my cup, and I will soak in your words. And I will embrace the feeling you feel as I taste the salt upon my cracked lips. And I will let you throw a tantrum and kick your mug and spill your tears. I will come to you and hold your hand and walk you to the garden where you can play and roll upon the wet grass and become dirty and wild and release your energy, the fuel that makes your blood boil. Come, dear demons, come to me. Sit with me now and have some tea. You belong to me, and I will take care of you and your insanity. It will be mine to love, and love it I will. Thank you. A couple of short ones now. Stardust falls upon my window where last night the moon had come. The conversations I have with the heavens are by far the best. At the breaking of dawn, light comes. At the breaking of dawn, light comes. So, at the breaking of heart. For me, it's just another street. For someone else, it's the road that takes them home. This next poem is called Rainbow in a Puddle. And I really don't know where it came from, but I enjoyed writing it, and I hope you enjoy listening to it. Rainbow in a Puddle. Blue, green, violet, color my mind with strokes of genius. It's a dragon that comes alive within. The smoky fire breathes in me my destiny. Charcoal petals, soft and black, smear my face. The tears have long dried. Beautiful eyes dissolve into their own mystery. Where is the door, or is there one? Maybe just a window with checkered curtains looking upon the meadows. Yellow sunlight pouring into my coffee cup. I sip. I smile to think of all the joys that overflow and spill into my life. Sounds of laughter echo deep inside the well of wishful memories. Buckets and buckets of broken dreams. The world spins, and with it, my mind. Thank you. This last poem is, I like to see it as a poem of hope. And it's called Lightness. Feather away the heaviness that burdens you. Let the hollowness of birds' bones find itself in the fullness of your substance. Let wonder be the wind that lifts your wings, and humility the flutter that carries you forward and upward to a place that is beyond, yet right here, right now. The coming alive is in this moment, whence the breath that comes and goes from the deepest part of you reaches the farthest edges of the rays of sun that pool into a space of moonless beams and silver linings, touching the beautiful pink clouds that float upon the horizon of nothingness and serenade the coming and going of life. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Arba. This is very, very nice indeed. Great poem, great poems. Professor Mohammed Hassan, may I please now ask you to tell us something about yourself and your poetry. A little more about your poetry than yourself. I'll just check.
Check, yeah.
At this age, I'm weak-kneed, weak heart, and failing mind. If you don't mind, with the permission of their excellencies, the retired judges, can I take the chair and speak? Thank you. First of all, there are many people who are my friends, but I know by now, as another retired judge, Justice Bahru Khan said, all the time you were roaming in the street of Jaipur as a duplicate copy. We never knew that you have a heart and you have a rhyme with you. Yes, it is a surprise. And today, as I did earlier, I want to thank my dear friend Sunny Sebastian and of course my wife, who pushed me to finish these notes into a book like this one. Without their support, I don't think I would have been able to done it. As my professor in America said, you read enough, start writing. So they said, you written enough, get it out. So anyway, the delivery was done, and I don't know how the baby would be around you. There are 182 poems. Introduction is also in verse, but that I won't be reciting. Yes, my daughter. Tell her. How can you do that? I'll be comfortable then. Needle. First poem. God lives in my ambit. A warrior's sword. He decides to create okay, that's right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Needle. God lives in my ambit, a warrior's sword. He decides to create or kill, defend or expose. Don't go by my lean shape, size or weight, but reckon by my substance and skills and my omnipresence. I trace my ancestry in thorns, beaks, hollowing tree trunks, weaving a tapestry of silk for tiny homes or tree tops. I render shape and grace to all that makes life, to make jute hold grain, flowers bloom to my dance on Kashmiri shawl and kasab. Remember how careful you are holding me in a hand or teeth. I test your patience hiding in hay, and I slip on floor or in quilt. You fear a friend at home, hiding to give a terrible slip. Imagine how you tiptoe like a Shiva in measured dance, terrifying all, fearing on prowl fanged tip. Together as twin sisters, Thimble and I, darning holes, fixing buttons, weaving smiles and tears, reliving nightmares and dreams. I can tell age from agility by how a child and aged one holds, looks, aims, and pulls through. A silk thread through my hole. Can you hold and aim? Coordinate eyes and fingers, hold and thread? Doctors know what you need. Mishandle me, you bleed. You deftly, yet deftly, you succeed. Tridents, spears, and swords, my melancholic manifestations, syringes, nibs, and hoes, my better selves in divine hand, still in noble roles. I am both noun and verb. Your hand commands my role. A noun, I dutifully follow my handler's order. I pierce, stitch, knit and mend, remove thorns from flesh and plant diamonds in nose and lobes. As a verb, I am at my venomous worst. Peace loses sleep, friends get estranged, hearts are broken, homes are divided, worlds ravaged, nations wage war. Next poem is, these are not cobwebs. There are small things in our life and we trash them away and they lie in corner, but these are the cobwebs. These are not cobwebs. These are not just cobwebs brooms can remove. These are not backyard bushes we can cut and burn. These are not useless things we can throw in garbage bins. These are like nightmares that never leave. These are like lightning charred groves, trees turned into ashen stumps. These are like steel nails growing inside. These are like first slap engraved on a newlywed's cheek, heart and mind. These are like a teenage bride's kicks, a flawed goat's frantic flailing legs, silenced by butcher's knife. These are the molten lava words. These are the parting molten lava words of first love, shame on you. These are modern emerging trends, lit motifs that often haunt like the handcuffed rebel Viet Cong facing a firing squad, like the parents in faded Ferrans holding framed photos on chests of their disappeared sons, praying quietly on a snow-coffined graves. These are not mere lines of hands. These are not mere kicks and slaps. These are not mere pyres and silent graves. These are not mere walls and roofs burnt in victims' presence. These are not mere fetus held on trident waved. Many worlds are entangled in them, like a white pigeon's neck, blood oozing, trapped in Chinese kite string. Plots within plot. This is our garden lawn. The lawn was an orchard. The orchard was a jungle where lived beasts and savage clans. Beasts have become trophies. Savages, now severely tamed, have become machines and domestic things. Trees have become grasses and orchards glass houses. So these are plots within plot. Our daughter raised these plants. Then they seemed her only plants. Now she has a new home on the far-off Pacific shore. Plants don't have feet. They have only hands. In distress they sway like orphans whose mother was taken away. Their leaves often tremble when a plaintive manna sings. When they miss her, in the nights they quietly cry. In the morning, to cheer us up, they explode in smiles, but their dewy tears they can hardly hide. Quilt. One more, okay. My great-grandfather and mother shared the same caste gene pool. They plowed our ancestral land, raising cotton, mustard, and wheat. My grandfather, an audacious Jat, chasing a wild dream, jumped into a turbulent stream. He went to high school, eloped with a Sikh. My father chose a new orbit, studied in Delhi, daredevil that he was, married a pretty Muslim. They're all different, at times difficult, but fair, firm in convictions. They ate coarse meals, threshed cotton balls, spun yarn, wove fine fabrics. They made this large wonder quilt a heritage of how they lived. My mother bequeathed it with its medley of irregular pieces of rainbow-themed cotton and silk, a collage of their times and tempers. Some are plain pieces. Some have hand-blocked prints. Some are deeply dyed. And some in laughter. Some are yet undecipherable. Someone patted the cotton swell. Someone smoothened and stitched. In the cold, I wrap it around like my arms around my mother and sister, listening to them tell our homestead tales, sipping our farmhouse milk. Son, it's not a mere quilt. It's a tapestry, fabric of family history, made and remade, darned and washed in tears, sweat, and blood.
Thank you, Professor Hassan. All right. You tell me.
Patch of life.
Patch of
Patch of life somewhere.
patch of life. All right.
Anyone you choose from.
So Professor Hassan's request for me to read a poem of his, glad to do that. It's a poem called Scissors. We shared so many things, sipping tea from kettle and cups, looking into the same mirror, walking in and out together, hand in hand through the same door. From the same window, yes, hand in hand, neck, breast to neck. We shared rains falling on window panes. We shared the blooms in our garden, the birds flying in the skies, how butterflies danced over petals, how hopes throbbed in our hearts. Lying hand in hand on golden dunes, staring at the bejeweled sky, drifting moon and the North Star, we imagined many a universe. We shared all that, believing we were part of them, yet radiant in our own cosmic glow. That was bliss. That was morning dew. Then, that was honey in our jar. Alas, sun rises, dew melts, bliss turns blister. Spring becomes scorching summer, and autumn freezing zone. Honey becomes hemlock, war erupts in wedlock. Staring at a drizzling, humongous cloud from separate bedroom windows, now we shred so many things like two blades of scissors between our thumbs and fingers, sharpened by indifference and distrust, hinged by rusted screw of a shared past. Thank you. My privilege to call upon Makarand Paranjape, Dr. Makarand Paranjape, Professor Makarand Paranjape. I've known Makarand since I came to college, and my first experience of his poems was my first year in college, and I still remember that very well. Makarand, so happy to call you.
He wants me to come first.
You want him to read first? Okay. So All right, Makran's choice that Parikshit comes first, because Parikshit being the host with me, I thought we would give him the final position. So, Parikshit, there's a huge temptation to introduce him, but I will not. Parikshit will introduce himself, and again, a bit more than himself, his poetry.
Thank you. I thank all of you for coming and gracing the occasion. This is a new initiative from Kavya to bring new talent to the front and mentor them and help them develop all national languages, and this is one of our early steps. We are learning along the way, figuring things out. Without further ado, I shall just read and see if that is an introduction. So these are Radha's Geet. Radha ji is saying things to Krishna, and different moods, different flavors, different aspects of her personality come out. So she got upset with Sri Krishna. Krishna, I took your flute and threw it away, somewhere in the woods unknown to you. And what did you do? You stood there and smiled, giggled almost at my mischievous ways, as if you knew what I did. Then in a moment's impulse that is yet a blur, you reached forward suddenly and kissed me lip to lip. I have yet to regain that old self I knew as I, recover that partial bliss. Now you play the flute of this emptiness caught in a reed. The limbs hear your melody note by note. The trees and beasts whirl with star and moon. Move to the unheard silence I hold within. There is nowhere to go, but be the plaything of your music. What I took away from you with nonchalance, you turned into me. Maybe this is a poem when she's less upset with Sri Krishna and feels his absence. A moon ray stole. A moon ray stole through my window last night, played by the little idol on my altar, curled into a smile on my lips. All through the night it played by my side, keeping me adrift through dreams, the golden background of awareness. The moon through clouds, conspiring with a wink, hid time and again, but the moon ray stayed by me. It giggled and hid among shadows, peeked and lit my corner with mischief and surprise. And as I drifted slowly into our dance, gathered into glow and settled on my lids. Shall I read from the other book? And with Radha ji hiding their clothes. And this is not a physical description, this is always, as in our traditions, this is a metaphor. What Sri Krishna is doing is taking away the clothes that we cover ourselves with, not just the physical clothes, but all the other covers over our awareness. Under the waters of Yamuna. Under the waters of Yamuna, as I hide from your gaze and teasing laughter, you have stolen our garments and dare us retrieve them from you, O Mohan, golden veiled, and we huddle from your eyes, startled with the purity that demands the same. One by one, the gopis draped only in their love for you step out of the river and walk shyly to cover their shame, while you challenge their false nudity and clinging in your Leela. And I, the last one, bury my head in the whiteness alone, defying your dare. As lungs explode without air in the crystalline stillness, and limbs burst at the seams bare, I let the silver waves wrap my bewilderment and bliss, when all of a sudden my foot slips. And in the rush of current sleeping, I am swallowed in a whirl, letting go of body and ego, in love and stillness smothered, not free yet to love freely, shy enough to drown and die, unable to give in to the lie. And you dive in as quickly to rescue your Radha and pull her out breathless and prone. What emerges from the waters, clinging in your embrace, robbed of all sheaths, that cowered from your gaze, is what remains of love when all is taken away. This is from my older selection. There was a girl I loved once. So switching from Sri Krishna and Radha ji to the Divine Mother, and the Divine Mother has many forms, many nama rupa, many shapes, and we are trying to honor the Divine Mother who is present with us always and in everything that we are and we see. All universe is only a moment, and the moment is now. Our lives only a cross-section of an ancient flow from past to endless future, collapsing at the moment of attention. All we are is an instant. All we live is now. There is no time but here. There is no space but now. All is here, returning from mind to marrow, thought to feel, that ever-present still of awareness. In that still, neither you nor I are here. Even a moment's deep communion was enough to eliminate the two. The one who proclaimed, "I love you," is no longer here. The grand finale of love is death, where all is placed upon the altar, the lover and beloved too. All attainments gone, even the conceit of being one who adored, taking a sword to slash the image of you who were omniperson, and the overflowing shunya rushes in to fill, submerge, and fulfill. The last act of annihilation before the towering vision that eyes cannot measure, beyond horizons that arms may not encircle. And as my frail arms struggle to grasp her globe of light, endless and void at the same time, she reached down to clasp. Body and mind cowering in awe that failed to bear her dazzle were raised by her. Words can only sketch in shades, their silence bringing out the light, often highlighting the same in various moods or perspectives against newer backgrounds or scales. Yet, all studies only outline the one portrait without image, thus describing the void that overflows from everywhere. I am described at the only, the last moment I disappear. There was a girl I loved once.
That was Parikshit reading some of his poems.
Thank you, Dr. Parikshit. Parikshit ji and his, on Shiva, and by offering puissant and immense in flight in the by Parikshit ji to go back to an old poem I wrote